Control your mind or lose your life. Chapter 3. Discipline beats motivation every time. Let's cut through the illusion. Motivation is not the answer. It never was. It feels good. It sounds powerful. It gives you a temporary boost. But it doesn't last. And that's the problem. You've felt it before. That surge of energy. That moment where you say, "This is it. I'm changing everything." You set goals, you make plans, you promise yourself this time will be different. And for a few days, maybe a few weeks, you're locked in. Then what happens? You slow down. You lose energy. You get distracted. You don't feel like it anymore. And everything stops. That's motivation. Unreliable, temporary, weak. Here's the truth most people avoid. If you rely on motivation, you will fail. Not sometimes, consistently. Because motivation depends on how you feel, and your feelings change every day, sometimes every hour. So if your actions depend on your feelings, your results will always be inconsistent. That's not control. That's chaos. So what's the alternative? Discipline. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Discipline doesn't ask for permission. It acts. Every day. On time. Without excuses. That's the difference. Motivation says, "I'll do it when I feel ready." Discipline says, "I do it whether I feel ready or not." Motivation says, "I'll start when things are perfect." Discipline says, "I start now." Motivation says, "This is hard." Discipline says, "That's why it matters." You have a choice. Wait for motivation and stay stuck, or build discipline and take control. That's the key. Let's get practical. You wake up in the morning. You don't feel like getting up. You're tired, comfortable. Your mind starts negotiating. Just 10 more minutes. You can skip today. You'll do it later. That's your mind looking for comfort. And if you follow it, you lose. Again. Now, imagine a different response. You hear the same thoughts, you feel the same resistance, but this time you don't listen. You move anyway. No debate, no negotiation. You get up. Why? Because you decided. Because you're disciplined. Because you understand something most people don't. Action comes before motivation, not after. Read that again. You don't wait to feel motivated to act. You act, and then motivation follows. That's how momentum is built. You start small, you show up, you complete the task, and suddenly you feel better, stronger, more focused, more in control. That's not motivation. That's the result of discipline. Let's talk about consistency, because this is where discipline proves itself. Anyone can go hard for one day. Anyone can push for a week. But can you do it when it's boring, when it's repetitive, when there's no excitement, when nobody is watching? That's where discipline lives. In the quiet, in the routine, on days that don't feel special. This is what separates winners from everyone else. Not talent, not intelligence, consistency. Doing what needs to be done every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You need to build a new standard. Not, "I'll try," not, "I'll see how I feel," but, "I show up no matter what." Say it again. I show up no matter what. That's your identity now. Let's remove another excuse. Time. People say, "I don't have time." That's not true. You have time. You just don't have discipline. Because when something truly matters to you, you make time. You find a way. You adjust. You prioritize. So stop saying you don't have time. Say the truth. "I'm not disciplined enough yet." And then fix it. Now, let's talk about excuses, because your mind is full of them. "It's too hard." "I'm too tired." "I'll start tomorrow." "This isn't the right time." Listen carefully. Every excuse feels valid at the moment. But every excuse moves you backwards. Every time you listen to one, you weaken your discipline. You train yourself to quit. So you need a rule, a simple one. No excuses, just action. You don't negotiate with weakness. You don't entertain it. You shut it down immediately, and you move. This is not about being perfect. You will have bad days. You will feel tired. You will struggle. That's part of the process. But discipline means you still act, even if it's not your best, even if it's slower, even if it's uncomfortable. You still show up. Because here's what happens over time. Discipline builds identity. At first, it's hard. You force yourself. You push through resistance. But then something changes. It becomes who you are. You're no longer someone trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. And when that shift happens, everything becomes easier. Not because the work is easier, but because you're stronger, more focused, more consistent, more in control. Let's connect this back to your mind. Because discipline is mental. Before it's physical, it's mental. It's the decision to act. It's the refusal to quit. It's the ability to override how you feel. That's control. Remember chapter 1? Stop reacting, start responding. This is where it applies. Your feeling says, don't do it. That's the stimulus. Your action, that's your response. Most people react. They stop. They delay. They quit. But you respond. You act anyway. And remember chapter 2? Your thoughts are not facts. Your mind says, you can skip today. That's a thought, not a fact. So you don't believe it. You challenge it, and you act. Everything is connected. Control your reactions. Control your thoughts. And now, control your actions. That's discipline. Now let's be honest. This is not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But they don't. That's why most people stay average. They wait, they hesitate, they depend on motivation, and they lose. You're not doing that anymore. You're building something stronger, something reliable, something that doesn't break under pressure. Discipline. So from this moment forward, your standard is clear. You don't wait, you don't hesitate, you don't negotiate. You act. Every day. And when you don't feel like it, good. That's your opportunity. That's your test. That's where discipline is built. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Say it again. I act regardless of how I feel. Again, I act regardless of how I feel. That's your rule. That's your identity. That's your edge. Final takeaway. Motivation will come and go. Feelings will rise and fall. But discipline stays. If you build it, if you protect it, if you use it daily. You have a choice. Wait for motivation and stay inconsistent, or build discipline and take control of your life. That's the key. And in the next chapter, we go deeper, because even with discipline, there's something that can still steal your power, your attention, your focus, and if you don't control it, everything you've built will fall apart. Control your focus or be controlled.